Hi, my name is Lindsay Collins. I'm a third year human biology major and I'm a second year residential assistant at College 10.
Hello, my name's Alina Coronado, and last year I was a University Town Center resident advisor.
Hello everyone, my name is Shingen Chen, my pronouns are he and his, and I'm a community assistant at Oaks College.
My name is Isabel Argules. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a resident assistant for Rachel Carson College.
Hello, my name is Blake, and my pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am a neighborhood assistant at Oaks College.
My name is Sean. I go by he, him, his, and I'm a resident assistant at Rachel Carson College.
One of my most memorable connections that I made this year as a residential assistant for College 10 is that as a human biology major, I am required to learn the full series of Spanish, and I spoke to one of my residents' parents in Spanish, and she really felt as though her child was going to be cared for being in College 10 as a first-year student and being first generation.
One of the most memorable connections that I made while working with college residential life was probably with my coordinator, the CRE at University Town Center, and we really collaborated a lot on how I could do a better job as an RA, how the community was feeling each week or each quarter.
So, one of the most memorable connections I had in my job is basically at one event I was in charge of doing an off-campus event, and I made really meaningful connections with one of the first years there, and he was asking me a lot of interesting questions, and we really bonded over just what we find intriguing in the college.
Having one-on-one connections with each of my residents has to be one of the most memorable connections I've made so far.
So, as a neighborhood assistant, some of the most important connections I've made have actually been with other neighborhood assistants. During training, it's really tough, but it's also really important time for learning some of the aspects of being a neighborhood assistant.
As a returner RA, I've had the opportunity to support two different communities, the continuing student population and the first years. I would say by far my most memorable connections have been with my first years. They push me to continually assess what it is an RA does, and I believe now that RAs are meant to be creators of community.
One example of inclusive leadership in my time being a residential assistant has been, since I've worked with first year and international communities at College 10, is that I find that a lot of these students are afraid to go to office hours or seek help and assistance. So sometimes I apply myself and I'm able to go to the office hour with them or attend their MSI modified supplemental instruction sessions with them to be a helpful face. So those times are less scary for them because I want to show them that I'm a student too and I seek help when I need it, and that's how you're able to get through this university together.
An instance of inclusive leadership that has shown up as the years have gone by as an RA, because I've been an RA for 2 years now, is that it really does depend on what your community looks like and how they want to be treated and checking in on them constantly. So I've seen that by surveying the community and reaching out often was a really good move in terms of including everybody from Black, brown, low income, first generation communities felt like they had someone visibly and physically there for them. So yeah, that is definitely something that I liked working on.
So, the concept of inclusivity is really shown at every event we do in Oaks College, and that pertains to whether or not we have to consider vegan options, non-dairy options, and we just really take into account every single concern or concepts that concerns that they have when attending an event.
This being my first year as an RA, but a third-year student on this campus, has allowed me to learn a lot from my past. Coming to UCSC, I didn't know a lot of things about languages and pronouns and all that, and I believe language is one of the most important things in creating an inclusive environment and being an effective leader. The language that we use every day to address people can really make a difference as to where they're comfortable coming up to you to address something, or if they're not. Using their proper pronouns, addressing people with a gender-neutral stance, like y'all, instead of saying you guys. That was something completely new to me. I came from Southern California, where we use you guys like every other word. So learning all this has been an amazing experience, and I know it'll help.
So for me, inclusive leadership is really important in my duties as a neighborhood assistant. I'm actually a neighborhood assistant in Harvey Milk Block in Oaks, which is the queer apartment building. And so as such, I think it's really important that we take notice of people's gender pronouns and use them appropriately. And if we're, unsure of that, definitely ask them because, for people who don't necessarily have experiences with the discomfort that can come on by being called the wrong gender pronoun, it can be a little bit confusing as to, why someone might, you know, uh, be uncomfortable with that. But, as a neighborhood assistant, I think it's really important that we educate people and we, sort of, uphold everyone's humanity and ability to express themselves and, just talk as, as humans without necessarily needing to be ashamed of themselves. And so inclusive leadership, to me just means meeting someone where they are, helping them and maybe taking a step a little bit outside of your comfort zone to try to accommodate them where they might be a little uncomfortable asking for help. Maybe you can offer it and that kind of thing.
Being a resident assistant, you are going to see a whole bunch of folks coming from different backgrounds and different identities. And a big thing about that is being able to be there for all of them. You can do this by just going out and picking up a food item and reading all the ingredients to make sure you're there for the people who have different food restrictions, but you can also just hold out and find out different resources for someone who didn't know about them. And the work that as an assistant does is not necessarily doing these little things, but it's making sure that you know that you're intentionally not only being there for certain identities, but being there for all of them, and to actively seek out and understand that you are unintentionally leaving out certain identities. You have to be able to improve, and you have to be able to reflect on these things.